So people, don't worry if you couldn't find some of the ingredients. This recipe will be posted on the website of Culinary Backstreets, and you can go there anytime you want, and you can find the recipe online, and you can also send any questions you're gonna have about this recipe. I'm gonna give the email again and again at info@culinarybackstreets.com. Sorry, I'm looking here. I'm looking at all the comments and all the people who write to me. So I'm gonna give 2 more minutes. Welcome to my kitchen, and welcome to Athens, basically. It's a lovely day here in Athens, and unfortunately we're locked in the house. So, I'm Carolina Doriti. I'm a professional chef, and I'm the Athens city leader for Culinary Backstreets. Culinary Backstreets covers the local food scene and offers small group food tours in some of the most important culinary cities around the world, including Athens. This is the first episode of a new series called CB Cooks, where we will be cooking classic recipes around the different cities we work in. So I'm gonna start with Καλό Pascha, which means Happy Easter, because that's Greek Easter today. And I'm gonna talk to you, this is my son, Apollo, by the way. And I'm gonna talk to you about some of the most traditional things we do for Easter here in Greece. One of the most fun traditions we have are the eggs. So we traditionally dye them on Good Thursday, and then on Easter we pick an egg and we break them. So now I'm gonna call Apollo, my son, to demonstrate how we do this. Oh, I won. Ooh, he won. So it's a tie. Ισοπαλία. This is how we do it, because we always eat here. So, apart from the eggs, one of our other traditions is we do a lot of baking on Easter, like in most other cultures. So I was very lucky because yesterday I was sent like one of my most favorite pastry shops in Athens, Lido in Pagrati. They sent me like 5 different tsurekia. Tsureki is this. Or this. So it's basically a braided brioche style bread. It's sweet but not too sweet. And it's very similar to the Jewish halal, also, the Easter bread of the... But what we do here, when we make this on Easter, we put a red egg in the middle, and we flavor it with spices like mahlepi, which comes from the kernel of from the pit of the cherry, or masticha, which is a spice that we collect from the trunk of a special type of tree, or we put some orange zest. It depends how people want to make it. And you can read about all this stuff on the website of Culinary Backstreets. I've written several stories about everything and all the Greek traditions and the ingredients we use. And finally, we've got also these, which are the traditional Easter cookies. They're very light, they're not very sweet, they're very crispy, and they're egg based and butter. But the star of this day is the lamb. So traditionally in Greece, we do a lamb roast on a spit, which has to happen outdoors. This year is probably the first time in history, maybe modern history, I don't know, that they have not allowed us to do this. So if somebody goes outdoors and they do like the spit roast, they're gonna get a fine. And generally they have tried to really control people because Easter is a very big holiday in Greece. It's like, for some people it's more important than Christmas. So they're trying to keep everyone home. Today I'm gonna make you a dessert. Two of the most typical desserts we do for Easter is galaktoboureko and galatopita. Gala means milk, so they're both milk pies. They're very similar, but galatopita is the light version of galaktoboureko. Galaktoboureko is syrupy, so it's sweet and heavier. Galatopita is very light and not so sweet, and it's great with coffee. So the reason they have those desserts on Easter is because this is a season that milk is very abundant. And especially in the regions that are very famous for the agriculture, this is, something that was always very traditional and very common. Galatopita was also made on the carnival season, not just Easter. So, I'm gonna talk to you about the ingredients I'm gonna use. So, we need milk. So, I'm familiar with the metric system, and I had Emma, our chief editor, translating, converting all the measurements for me, so forgive me for my notes. So, 1 liter of fresh, full-fat milk. So, I'm sorry, just a second. So, 1 liter of fresh, full-fat milk. It's very important to use good quality ingredients. This is a very simple recipe, so the most important thing about it is to use really good milk and really good butter, because this is what's going to give it flavor. So this 1 liter of milk is like 4 cups. And then we've got 25 grams of butter, which is about a tablespoon. This is, the zest from 1 lemon, 2 eggs, they need to be at room temperature, 50 grams fine semolina, which is 1/4 of a cup, 50 grams flour, which is 1/3 of a cup. I use brown sugar generally because I like brown sugar better, but you can also use white sugar if you want. So this is 120 grams or 2/3 of a cup brown sugar. These are the ingredients for the custard, including a vanilla pod and some salt, a pinch of salt. And then we also use 70 grams of walnuts, which is about half cup, 70 grams of brown sugar, which is 1/3 of a cup, and about 2.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. I am melting butter here. So this is about 100 grams of butter, which means about 7 tablespoons. You're gonna need this for the phyllo. And I'm gonna bring the phyllo from the fridge. So when you use phyllo pastry, you really have to be careful because it dries really fast. So we are only going to use 5 seeds of phyllo. So we're not going to need the whole of it, but I'm going to keep it closed for later until I need it. And it's better always to cover it with a towel. You're also gonna need about a 25 centimeter round pan or 10-inch round pan, which I'm going to butter. And I'm gonna put aside. So first thing you wanna do is make the custard. So for the custard, you want to use a large saucepan that has a thick base. This is because it keeps the milk from burning. So I'm gonna pour the milk in here. And I'm gonna put in here half of the sugar. The reason I put half of the sugar in here is because it will keep the milk from overflowing. Although you don't want to boil this milk. You just want to heat it up just before it starts to boil. I'm gonna put a pinch of salt in here because salt always gives great flavor to not just food, also desserts. And I'm using a vanilla pod, but if you don't have a vanilla pod, you can use vanilla extract, and you would need about 2 teaspoons. So I'm gonna open this, and with a teaspoon I'm gonna get all the inside. I love vanilla. And I'm gonna throw the whole thing in there to give it extra flavor, but you have to remember to take it out before you finish with the custard. So I'm gonna put this on low heat. And I'm gonna give it a light whisk. And I'm gonna let it do its thing. Just don't forget it. So, in a second bowl, in a bowl, we're gonna break the eggs. The eggs should be at room temperature. So, the more you whisk eggs in desserts, the less eggy they smell. So in here, I'm going to add the lemon zest. So lemons in Greece are great right now. They're very in season. You should always use organic lemons when you use their lemon zest, because usually lemons are waxed, so you should avoid that. So, mix it a bit, and now you can add the semolina. So semolina is like coarse wheat. This is what you use to make pasta as well. So in Greece, okay, we use it for pasta making, but we also use it to thicken up creams, custards. Now add the rest of the sugar and the flour. And it's gonna go thick like that. Let me check the milk. See, it's nice. No lumps. So, I'm gonna preheat my oven at 170. Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. I'm back. So I'm gonna preheat my oven at 170 Celsius or 338 Fahrenheit. The milk is not ready yet, so I'm going to prepare the next step with cheese. I'm going to put in a blender. I'm going to put all the walnuts, the sugar, and the cinnamon. And I'm going to blend it. So, you want to make this kind of powder, which we're going to use later for the phyllo. So I'm going to just get rid of whatever I don't need so that I have more space for the phyllo. I'm just stirring the milk a bit. So the next step is to combine the milk with the egg mix and then put it back on low heat to create the custard. So now it's almost ready. So it's such a lovely day here today, and it's such an unusual Easter for us. I mean, we are experiencing really extraordinary circumstances globally, which is also unusual. Okay, so the milk is ready. You want to remove the vanilla pod. And now you're gonna take a bit of that milk. You have to be very careful now because this is super hot and this isn't, and this has eggs. So if you pour it here immediately, this is gonna become scrambled eggs. And normally I would let it cool down a little bit more. Wait, I'm not gonna risk it. So this dessert can be made in variations. I mean, the classic has vanilla, you know, some people put lemon zest. I love lemon zest. Some people put orange zest. Some people put saffron. So you can play with it. So now you start pouring slightly and you have to whisk vigorously. The smell is so good of everything. The lemon, the vanilla, the milk. Fortunately, it doesn't smell of eggs. So you want to pour in here about half cup until it's ready to be poured in the milk. I must say, I live in the center of Athens. I have spent Easter in Athens. Actually, now I was supposed to be on Tinos Island with a fantastic tour that we had designed with culinary backstreets and Atlas Obscura. Unfortunately, it had to be cancelled due to the coronavirus situation. But Greeks can be very, you know, resourceful. Yes. So my neighbor from across the street, I mean, okay, I think we have to show this. Please show the terrace of my neighbor across the street. He's got a wood burn. No, not this one, the one on the corner. He's got a wood burning oven. So he has this wood burning oven, see, and like he's made all this situation there. And this morning I woke up and they were roasting lamb up on the terrace in the center of Athens. So now I'm gonna start pouring it in the milk, but you have to stir. It's super easy. I mean, it looks maybe difficult at this point, but it isn't, I promise. So now it's ready, and I'm gonna put it back on low heat, but I'm gonna be on top of it this time. It only needs a few minutes until it's ready. So it will immediately start to thicken. This is a kind of cousin of the pastéis de nata. I think it's called like that. The Portuguese milk pie, which I love. So I'm gonna give it some time to thicken. I'm sorry, I have a very naughty 7-year-old in my kitchen, which makes it very hard for me to concentrate. So, see? Now it's getting there. You don't want to do it too thick. That's why I wanted to have the camera close here, so that you could get a better understanding of how thick I need it to be. So that's how it should be. So take it off the heat fast. And add the butter. The butter makes it nice and silky, and it adds this amazing aroma to the cream. Fantastic. Yes, I'm proud of it. Thank God. So, next step is the phyllo. So basically we're going to start assembling the pie. So you're not going to use the whole pack. You're going to use 5 layers. So, got 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest goes back under the towel. So, I'm going to bring the pan, it is already buttered, and I'm going to bring the melted butter with the brush, and I'm going to start buttering. This type of desserts, you know, if you go to villages around Greece, you're gonna taste them, you know, made of goat's milk or sheep's milk. That were the traditional, you know, original versions of these desserts. Now we make them, you know, usually with cow's milk. I mean, I like to make it with goat's and sheep's milk, but I know it's not very easy for everyone to find. Abroad, I mean, because in Greece you can find. So that's the fun part. You start laying the phyllo. Press it carefully, and you're going to sprinkle it with the walnut, sugar and cinnamon mix. So what this does is that it basically keeps the phyllo crispy on the bottom. It doesn't soak, you know, and also it caramelizes it. And of course it gives it amazing flavor, because who doesn't love cinnamon? In Greece everybody loves cinnamon. Like 95 of the traditional desserts have cinnamon, if not 100% of them. So you place the next phyllo crosswise. I'm gonna butter it in here. You want to butter all of it because you are going to create a beautiful rim at the end. So you don't want the phyllo to break when you try to do the rim. Next phyllo. Almost done. You know, using butter, it moistens your hands. I don't know how your hands are from using so much alcohol and soap all day, but butter helps. So in Athens, I've been in the house since the 11th of March, over a month. But it's been a very creative time for me as well. I mean, I hope it ends soon. And I hope schools open soon. This has been the hardest part. But I cook a lot and it's great. Butter it here, it's easier. It's easier when you butter it on the surface, because you make sure you put butter all over the phyllo. Also, there are variations of this recipe that they use cheese. Like, and now is the season that they make fresh cheese, you know, because they're abundant in milk traditionally. And this is amazing also to make with a sweet cheese called mizithra, which is fresh and it's very similar to ricotta. It's actually made from the whey of feta cheese. So it's a mix of mainly sheep's milk and a small amount of goat's milk. We make a lot of traditional desserts using mizithra this time of the year. So this is the final layer of phyllo, the fifth one. And we're done. That's it. I'm gonna put a bit here and here. It looks like a lot of butter, but it actually isn't. So, oops. Okay, we lost some, but it's okay. So now it's ready and we want to pour the cream. So I'm just gonna wipe my hands a bit. I'm gonna need some help. Can you take the spatula? Όχι. Σπρώξω μου την κρέμα. Okay, it's okay. Ah, nice. So you want to even it on top. And now you're gonna start twisting this, going round to form a nice, rim. Yep. So with the rest of the butter, you just go around the rim. So we're almost ready here. And this will go into the oven. So I'm going to put this into the oven. And I'm going to bake it for about an hour. And basically, I baked one ahead. And here it is. This is how it's supposed to look. So you need to get this color on top, and you need to let it cool down, and when it's ready, you sprinkle it with powdered sugar and cinnamon. Yeah, I like it. So now is the best part. The best part where I cannot find the knife. Okay. So can you hear how crispy it is? This is what it's supposed to sound. And it sounds crispy even in the center of it. That's the success. Yum. And yes, I'm gonna bite it. So, καλό Πάσχα. Perfection. Really perfect. You have to make it, everyone. You have to make it. So, now that we're done, I wish you all a happy Easter again, a happy Greek Easter. And thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please email us at info@culinarybackstreets.com. I'm Carolina Doriti. I'm happy to answer all your questions, and you can find the recipe on the website of Culinary Backstreets, www.culinarybackstreets.com.